Welcome to the operations of a child development home overview presentation. The intent of this presentation is to provide information about operating a childcare business in a home setting, including defining a childcare business, outlining the types of family childcare, describing the characteristics of a childcare business owner, discussing how to prepare to provide childcare, and identifying the resources needed to support the childcare business. In this section, we are going to review what it means to be a family childcare business. A family childcare business is defined as a place where a small group of children are cared for in a residential setting for a fee. Because it is operated out of a home, the hours may be non-traditional or in multiple shifts and can be tailored to the needs of the community and the families being served. For example, you may live in a community that has a business that operates 24 hours a day, and employees may not have childcare available for the early morning or overnight shifts. A family childcare home might be able to meet those needs for parents. There are three types of childcare businesses as defined by the Iowa Department of Human Services: the childcare home accepting childcare assistance, and the child development home. We will talk a little bit more about these types of businesses later on in this presentation, but the most important thing to remember is that registration guidelines will differ depending on the type of family childcare business that is chosen to operate. Additionally, regulation guidelines vary between states, and these types are specific to Iowa. So if you live in an area where you border surrounding states like South Dakota, Nebraska, Illinois, Missouri, and Minnesota, you'll want to check into the regulations, as it could impact some of the business policies and procedures, especially if you take state subsidy or childcare assistance payments for tuition fees. There are many benefits to choosing a family childcare career, including owning your own business or being self-employed, managing operations of the business, which may include the option to hire an assistant or co-provider, adding to family income tax benefits for home improvements, caring for and watching your own children grow up with other children and learn important social skills, being in a career that is evolving and provides opportunity for career growth, providing a vital early education service within your community. These are only a few of the benefits that you may find within a family childcare career choice. Next, we are going to review the different types of family childcare. First, there is a childcare home, or CCH. This type of childcare business is not registered with the Iowa Department of Human Services and are sometimes referred to as unregulated home providers. Those who choose to provide care under this category can only care for a maximum of 6 children, one being a school-age child. Additionally, the Iowa Department of Human Services will not inspect or monitor an unregulated childcare home, but they may respond to any complaints that are received about the program if there is an allegation of child abuse or caring for more children than allowed. The rules around an unregulated childcare home can be found at Iowa Code Section 237A.3. The second type of childcare business operated out of a home is a childcare home accepting childcare assistance, or a CCHA. Those who choose to provide care under this category can only care for a maximum of 6 children, one being a school-age child, and can receive childcare assistance as payment for eligible families needing care. It is also important to note that these types of childcare businesses are not registered, but because they accept childcare assistance, they are required to meet minimum health and safety standards. Additionally, businesses under this category of childcare are checked for compliance annually by the Iowa Department of Human Services after the childcare assistance provider agreement has been issued. 6 hours professional development is required within each 2-year provider agreement period, and business location information is listed on the Iowa Department of Human Services website as a public record. Further regulation guidance can be found in the Iowa Department of Human Services Standards and Regulations, COM 95, Chapter 120, and Chapter 170. A third type of childcare business is a child development home, or CDH. Those who choose to provide care under this category are often referred to as a registered home provider, as they must complete the registration application and pre-registration process required by the Iowa Department of Human Services. They can choose to accept childcare assistance payments for eligible families, and business information is listed as public record. It is also important to note that the Iowa Department of Human Services will conduct an annual compliance visit after the registration application is approved and the pre-inspection process has been completed. Child development home providers must take a minimum of 24 hours of professional development within a 2-year registration period. There are 4 registration category types, A, B, C, and C1, based on the number of children in care, the space available for childcare, and the provider's education and experience. Please note that the provider's own children count in the number of children that can be cared for until the day they start full-time kindergarten. This is true for each of the category types mentioned. Further guidance on the child development home registration type can be found in the Iowa Department of Human Services, Chapter 110, Chapter 170, and COM 143. In Iowa, it is not a requirement to be registered with the Iowa Department of Human Services to provide childcare, but there are many benefits in doing so. First, many business owners will gain confidence in knowing they meet requirements for childcare in accordance with the Iowa Administrative Code. Second, they will be connected to Iowa childcare resource and referral experts to help them navigate the childcare business. Additionally, businesses will enjoy free marketing and referrals to families who need childcare. Being registered also opens up opportunities that may not be available as an unregulated childcare home or a childcare home accepting childcare assistance. For example, a certificate of registration identifies the home business to childcare organizations and other community resources such as extension services, community action programs, Head Start, and childcare resource and referral agencies. These agencies can provide services such as training, consultation, collaboration, and resource development. This also opens communications with a variety of childcare resources, which tends to lessen the isolation of the home provider. Additionally, registered providers may qualify for participation in the Child and Adult Care Food Program, CACFP, or reimbursement for meals and other quality initiatives like Iowa Quality for Kids. In this next segment, we are going to talk about the qualities and characteristics of a childcare provider. This information can be useful to measure if the childcare career is a good fit. First, some of the characteristics of someone that would be a good fit of the childcare business include being self-motivated, willing to partner with outside agencies, passionate about children and families, enjoys engaging with children as they grow and learn, is dependable and reliable, is flexible and can adapt to change, is respectful to others' beliefs and views, is supported by their own family, is energetic, willing to learn new things, and creative. Next, there are certain skills that are useful to have as a childcare provider. These include being organized, the ability to work independently, knowledgeable about how children develop and learn. They understand how to work with families. They have effective communication skills, is comfortable having tough conversations, can manage their emotions, is tolerant of noise and messy play, is knowledgeable about business practices, understands how to maintain a safe and healthy learning environment. They can balance personal and business responsibilities and has an openness for continued learning and professional growth. Some typical responsibilities and best practices of a childcare provider are maintaining regulatory requirements like registration, training, and renewal, supervising and monitoring the safety of children, implementing safe and healthy practices, ensuring basic routine needs are met, like napping, mealtimes, diapering, and toileting, preparing and organizing mealtimes and snacks for children, maintaining daily business records, organizing developmentally appropriate activities, documenting children's progress, routines, and interests, providing safe materials for all ages of children, and communicating with parents regularly. These listed skills, characteristics, and responsibilities are only a few that providers may exhibit. The most important responsibility is to ensure children are not harmed and decisions are made with their best interest in mind. Next, we are going to review some key considerations around what steps would need to be taken to prepare to provide childcare in a child development home. It is important to remember that this type of care has unique needs and rules. Some of these guidelines would apply to the childcare home providing childcare assistance type of care, but for the intent of this presentation, we will be focusing only on the registered child development home. The recommended first step to take would be to connect with Iowa Child Care Resource and Referral, or CCR&R. This agency can provide guidance around all things childcare, including completing application registration forms, professional development plans, emergency plans, health and safety practices, and environment setup. There are 5 regions of CCR&R in Iowa, and contacts can be found at iowaccrnr.org/staff. It is also possible to stay informed by connecting to them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Another step will be to assess the need for childcare in the community by asking the following questions. What other childcare businesses are in the community? Are there families who would benefit from a family childcare business? What age group of children need childcare? What are the different businesses that the families work at in the community? Do families in the community work non-traditional shifts? What is the going childcare rate? Will families need childcare assistance subsidies to pay childcare fees? How much money will it cost to open and operate a family childcare business? These are only a few of the considerations to take when in the planning stages, as every community is unique in their resources and need, but this can start the necessary steps to ensure the childcare needs are met. The next step when preparing to provide care will be to learn about registration and background checks. Some key concepts to consider include a compliance check with the Iowa Department of Human Services will occur yearly based on category type A, B, C, or C1. The number of children cared for will vary based on registration category type A, B, C, or C1. Background checks and fingerprints are required. They must be 18 years of age. Education requirements and experiences based on registration category type A, B, C, or C1. Health and safety pre-service, mandatory child abuse reporter, first aid, and management of a blocked airway and mouth-to-mouth resuscitation are required prior to receiving a certificate of registration. Registration is valid for 2 years. Another step to take to prepare a family childcare business is to identify best practice versus minimum practice. The Iowa Department of Human Services sets minimum health and safety regulation requirements, but health and safety is only one aspect of childcare. Many operations of the business, like having a contract with the family, arrangement of play space, methods of communicating how care is provided, and childcare practices like diapering and hand washing are considered best practices. You might be asking, what does best practice mean? In simple terms, it is a set of standards and guidelines that are used to make the best decision around the care that is given. Many times these standards are taken from research-based resources like Child Care Aware of America, the National Association for the Education of Young Children, and the National Resource Center Caring for Our Children, to name a few. When best practices are implemented, they result in enhanced quality of life for children, as well as provider success and endurance. It is important to remember that childcare practices are ongoing and continue to evolve, so it is key to stay current and connected to experts in the field, like Iowa Child Care Resource and Referral. Now that we have identified the need for childcare in a community, learned about what is required for registration, and identified best practices, we will now review legal, tax, and insurance options. First, business owners will want to apply for an employer identification number or an EIN number at the IRS. It is a free service and is important as it protects the provider's identity and is unique to the specific business. You might think of it as a social security number for a business, but it's important to remind providers to avoid using their personal social security number for business use to protect themselves from identity theft. The next step to consider is to obtain a tax professional who's familiar with the childcare business practices. This is important as a childcare business owned and operated out of a home has unique rules, and providers will want an accountant who can navigate it effectively. Another step would be to meet with an insurance agent to discuss childcare business insurance options. Providers will want to discuss the number of children they are planning on providing care for and understand their risks to ensure adequate coverage. It is important to remember that every community has different resources and every insurance company has varied policies, so researching options is crucial. Lastly, child development home businesses will want to consider receiving guidance from a child care expert like Iowa Child Care Resource and Referral child care consultant to fully understand the importance of having a business contract with each family they are providing care for. It is necessary to understand that information should be included in a contract, as fees and time schedules are an important component to ensuring successful family relationships and business retention. Now that a potential child development home provider has decided to provide childcare, you will want to apply for registration and request an application packet from their local Iowa Child Care Resource Referral or CCR&R office. Iowa CCR&R can connect them with a child care consultant to provide guidance around the forms and information needed in the packet. Iowa CCR&R will also help them get connected appropriately for fingerprints and completing the required training that is needed prior to registration approval. Once those are completed, the provider will submit their application packet with all the required documentation to their Iowa CCR&R child care consultant. Local Iowa CCR&R office staff will then review the packet of information for accuracy and send it to the Iowa Department of Human Services for approval. Please note that it is possible that there could be a 90-day turnaround time to process once the packet has been submitted due to federal background checks being completed. While child development home providers are waiting for the application packet to be approved by the Iowa Department of Human Services, there are some things that can be done to prepare their home for providing care. First, they will want to make sure the home is structurally safe and adequate. Steps to take include measuring the indoor and outdoor space to be used for child care exit requirements to ensure it meets registration requirements. They will also want to identify a designated space to use as a quiet area for sick children, as well as design the space for the number of children they will be providing care. All of these considerations will vary based on the child care category type that the provider qualifies for, A, B, C1, or C. Other requirements include screening off the fireplace or wood stove, ensure the electrical wiring within the home is up to code and maintained, and move flammable materials 3 feet away from the water heater and furnace. A list of these items can be found on the pre-inspection checklist of child development home registration. Please be reminded that all of these items that are listed on the pre-inspection are minimum standards set by the Iowa Department of Human Services and must be in place prior to providing care. This next list of items falls under the physical space requirements. Providers will want to plan the environment set up so children can move freely and where adequate supervision can be provided. They will also want to inspect the outdoor play space to ensure it is free from dangerous objects. And if the home is near a busy roadway or contains water hazards, fencing may be required. This determination may be made by the Iowa Department of Human Services compliance worker at the time of pre-inspection, but the local Iowa CCR&R child care consultant can provide guidance as needed. Additional health and safety required items include installing smoke detectors in every room that is used for childcare and at the top of each stairway, and fire extinguishers 2A 10BC on each level of home used for childcare. Additionally, providers will want to place non-smoking signs at every entrance in the program and every vehicle that transports children. These signs are on the CCR&R website under suggested forms. Again, this list of required items can be found on the pre-inspection checklist for child development home registration. Next, we're going to talk about the health and safety requirements need to be in place prior to providing care. First, child development home providers will want to install safety barriers like outlet covers, cabinet locks, and safety gates at the head and the foot of the stairs. The Iowa CCR&R child care consultant can get them connected to the Iowa child care nurse consultant in their area for suggested products and items. If care will be provided in a home that is outside of city limits or uses well water, the Iowa Department of Human Services will want documentation of a septic system and well water test inspection report. The inspection can be completed by contacting city personnel. Additional requirements for health and safety on this slide is to identify a locked space for medication and accessible first aid supplies. The first aid kit should be accessible in both indoor and outdoor spaces of the child care program, as well as in vehicles where kids are transported. At a minimum, adhesive bandages, bottled water, disposable tweezers, and disposable plastic gloves must be included in each kit. As with the other requirements, these are listed on the pre-inspection checklist for child development homes. There are a few more additional health and safety requirements to consider prior to providing care. First, a working phone must be available for emergencies. A landline is not required, and cell phones are acceptable. However, it is important to ensure it stays fully charged in the chance the program loses power. Emergency contacts for all of the children enrolled in childcare must also be posted somewhere near the phone where it is easily accessible and updated as enrollment changes. This list should also include fire, police, and emergency rescue numbers as well. Ensuring that children have adequate space and furnishings for a safe sleep is also important. There are multiple standards that are specific to childcare in each age group, so it is crucial to reach out to the Iowa Department of Public Health Childcare Nurse Consultant and the Iowa Child Care Resource and Referral Child Care Consultant for guidance. It is also important to check out the outdoor spaces and locate optimal shaded areas throughout the play area. As with the other considerations, a list of the specifics can be found on the pre-inspection checklist for child development home registration. After preparing the home to provide childcare services, other business practices may want to be considered, like business policies, record keeping, and marketing. Business policies are important as they provide the rules around how care is provided. They may state the mission and vision of the childcare business, identify provider education level and qualifications, as well as outline operating hours and the ages of children the business is providing care for. Business policies may also describe the daily routine and schedule of the children and outline the activities that they will be engaged in throughout the day. It is important to remember that business policies are specific to the child development home businesses' unique needs and rules. It will not be the same as another child care program. Additionally, to be in compliance with the Iowa Department of Human Services, it is required that emergency planning, illness, and health-related emergency policies are in place. The Guide for Developing Policies is a helpful tool available to help create the necessary policies located on the Iowa CCRNR website or from a local Iowa CCNR child care consultant. One more thing that can be done while waiting for the registration packet to be approved is to set up a record keeping system. In childcare, providers will be responsible for tracking children's attendance, meals, saving receipts for supplies, and tracking the hours that are worked in the home, including hours outside of when they are providing care. During this time, providers may want to consider creating a contract template specific to the time they will be providing care and the fees they will be expecting from families. They may also want to start a calendar to track their hours preparing for care, as they will be able to use that time as part of their time space percentage on taxes. A good tool to help with tracking time and expenses is the Red Leaf Calendar Keeper. It can also be found online at Red Leaf Press. To start recruiting families and spread the word that a childcare business is opening up in the community, a marketing plan may need implemented. There are a couple of different things that can be done. The first being to call the Iowa Child Care Resource and Referral Parent Referral Line and get placed on the parent referral list. An intake form and background check will need completed first if registration approval is not confirmed by the Iowa Department of Human Services. But this is a good way to let parents know there are openings available. The referral line will give out business contact information, and the parents will contact the providers directly. Other marketing strategies that have been successful include creating a logo and business name and putting them on business cards or a flyer, offering a new family incentive, a referral bonus, or setting a voicemail identifying the business and important information. Social media business pages are also popular as they are an easy way to create interest and connect with families. The last item to consider when preparing your childcare home business is to organize forms and information. There are 3 categories to consider: business, child, and provider. First, we will review the business forms. Child development home providers will want to file a copy of the application form and all of the documents within it, as well as the completed pre-inspection checklist for the child development home. It is important to note that businesses will not receive the application back from the Iowa Department of Human Services once it has been submitted for registration approval, so they may want to make a copy prior to sending it on. Other forms providers may consider filing would be the lead assessment and control and any record around the treatment of lead if appropriate. The completed pre-inspection from the Iowa Department of Human Services compliance check, a pet health exam, report of suspected child abuse form, and the emergency phone number list. All of these business-specific forms can be found on the CCR on our website under required and suggested forms. The next group of forms a child development home business will want to have available for each child in care is the child enrollment information, child injury incident report, emergency medical treatment authorization, and the health form for infant, toddler, and preschool and school-age children. It is important to remember that each child must have a file completed at start of care and every year after. Iowa Department of Human Services compliance workers will check the files annually to ensure they are up to date. Businesses can connect with the Iowa Child Care Resource and Referral Child Care Consultant and the Iowa Department of Public Health Child Care Nurse Consultant for guidance when completing these as needed. The third group of forms are provider forms. These forms are the provider physical examination report and any training certificates. A child development home provider is required to have a physical every 3 years, as well as any household members over the age of 12 that lives in the home. Substitutes and any assistants listed on application must also have a physical. There are a couple of things to remember about the organization of forms that may help you as you start to get families. First, try to keep program-specific documentation separated from the child and provider forms so it is easily accessible if needed. Also, providers will want to make sure each child has a complete set of forms in their file. There may be more than what was listed within these slides, as many children have developmental, medical, or dietary needs that need documented. Also, providers will want to have one set of forms for each provider in the program. This may be appropriate if they are a category C provider and have a co-provider, substitute, or assistant. Congratulations, the Child Development Home has received notification from the Iowa Department of Human Services that the background checks and fingerprint portion of the application process for registration has been approved. There is one more step to take before receiving your certificate of registration, and that is to schedule a visit with the Iowa Department of Human Services compliance worker to complete a pre-inspection on the environment in which care will be provided. Once that visit is complete and everything is found to be in compliance, the certificate of registration will be issued. Prior to the pre-inspection visit, child development home businesses may want to consider connecting with a local Iowa Child Care Resource and Referral Child Care Consultant and ask them to conduct a walkthrough and review the pre-inspection checklist. All of the steps that we reviewed in the last section of slides will help meet the requirements on the checklist. Please remember that the review of the checklist with the Iowa Child Care Consultant will not guarantee the requirements to be registered have been met. That is a determination made by the Iowa Department of Human Services. Please note that when conducting the pre-inspection visit, the Iowa Department of Human Services strives for consistency, but rules do change and the compliance workers may require additional documentation. The last and final segment of this presentation is to review a list of resources that will provide guidance to child care development home businesses. You will recognize a few of them as we have mentioned them throughout the last slides. The first resource is the Iowa Department of Human Services. Their roles and responsibilities are setting rules regarding registration and child care assistance, processing registration application and background checks, completing compliance checks prior to registration approval, and overseeing the child care complaint hotline. The next is Iowa Child Care Resource and Referral. Their roles and responsibilities are maintaining a website that provides pertinent information beneficial to child care businesses, offering coaching and consultation services to guide through registration, child development business practices, and quality standards, provide professional development specific to child care, and refer families to child care businesses. The third agency on this list is the Child Care Aware of America. Their roles and responsibilities are to support national child care resource and referral agencies, providers, families, and children in their mission to advance a child care system that effectively serves all children and families. The next three supports are the Iowa Department of Public Health, Early Childhood Iowa, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The Iowa Department of Public Health offers education guidance on health and safety issues within a child care setting. Early Childhood Iowa promotes the vision for a comprehensive early care, education, health and human system in the state of Iowa. And the Child and Adult Care Food Program provides education and guidance surrounding participation requirements, meal planning, and acceptable food for children. There are other agencies that can provide support as well, but these will get child development home businesses off to a great start. Thank you for listening to this presentation. I hope this will help you learn a little bit more about the childcare industry and what is required to open a child development home business. Please reach out to Iowa Child Care Resource and Referral with any questions you may have. You can find their contact information at www.iowaccrnr.org/staff.